Everyone, Deadpool Negative here. I'm back with another review, this time of Deadpool and Wolverine, World War III. Deadpool is, without a doubt, one of my favorite comic book characters. Started with the original miniseries by Fabian Nicieza back in 1993. Fabian Nicieza and Robert Liefeld created Deadpool. I have tremendous affection and good memories of Joe Kelly's 33-issue run on an ongoing series back in 1996. It was a series that meant a lot to me, but it was also a time, and that and Preacher defined my college years. But of course, at that time, I was also very emotionally unstable and made a ton of decisions that completely ruined my life and made me the fat YouTuber I'm here today. And so I don't like thinking about that stuff too much. But I'll just say that it was a series that meant a lot to me, and it's difficult for me to read it because I've been the person I was back then. I don't feel that way about Preacher, and that's a whole other story. But Joe Kelly did come back to the series, the character, excuse me, in Amazing Spider-Man. Well, the thing with Joe Kelly leaving, he just had other plans. He didn't think Marvel was going to keep the series around, which I thought was understandable. He also had landed a job writing Action Comics, where he wrote some very memorable stories there. But it still kind of bums me out that we never got to see what else he wanted to do. And when the Spider-Man Deadpool series came along, that just boiled down to an incredibly simple, uninteresting, like Spider-Man shouldn't kill story, which he'd already done with the Grim Hunt, which is one of the worst Spider-Man stories ever published. And I really didn't need to him do any others. Well, Spider-Man shouldn't kill. That'd be bad. Like, okay, I get it. It's not that. I get the idea, the importance of the moral. You're not telling an interesting story about it. Which brings us years and years later, in time for the movie, a Deadpool and Wolverine team-up series. I have the Liefeld cover because I'm an idiot. This is Kelly for better or for worse. I'm going to talk about Kelly for a minute. Like, he is can be a relatively straightforward writer when an editor is leaning on him. And then he can be really esoteric, very ambiguous, very strange, very kind of off model, to put it that way. Like, he has that Keith Giffen thing of like characters kind of referring to events that Keith Giffen have this thing that he clearly hated expository dialogue. So characters in some of his more creator-owned esoteric work would talk like they already knew what was going on, but never would inform the reader. Kelly is like that, but for actual events of the story, if that makes sense. Like, I give you an example. Steampunk had created this entire alternate history that was actually very difficult to parse and understand, unless you'd actually read an interview with Joe Kelly talking about the book. I mean, and Chris Bacalo drawing it. That didn't help. That never helps. But Steampunk was just weird, and it seemed like this big sci-fi epic, and it kind of petered out after 12 issues. He loves working with artists that I personally find impenetrable, like I Kill Giants, J.M. Kim Nomura. That's actually a straightforward story, but Nomura's work makes it weird. I mean, he did something with Ted McKeever. And that's all automatically. When I read a Ted McKeever drawn comic, honestly, obviously, we're talking about my personal reactions to this stuff. You may feel differently. Ted McKeever. That sounds like that's funny. And here we get both Joe Kellys with this, because first half is a very straightforward story, and the second half is like, what? So despite Kelly's second return to Deadpool, it's primarily a story told from Wolverine's point of view. He's in Canada. There's actually a bit of a kind of a sweet bit of characterization where he says, "I got a phone, doesn't have a screen, flip shut, old school. Best part about it, never rings except when it does. My phone rings, it means someone's hurt bad or someone needs hurting bad." So he's called up to Vancouver to track down a serial killer. Turns out Deadpool, this guy's got superpowers. He got superpowers in a very strange way. and he's not making any sense, which is kind of the part of the story. And he's been altered somehow, and Deadpool just happened to have been hired to kill the guy, and they both wind up destroying him, like literally cutting him in half. It looks like, I think. Yeah, they cut him in several halves. Let me put it that way. And it's interesting. It's very effective first half. Like Wolverine, like it really is a Wolverine story with Deadpool in it. Wolverine, he's weirdly affected by Deadpool's sudden presence. He thinks something fishy's going on, and then so he goes looking for answers. He goes specifically looking for Deadpool, where he was staying, trying to figure out who hired Deadpool. And then things get awfully strange, because it looks like Deadpool is trying to lure him out to Russia, but is or isn't. Because the ending of the comic kind of suggests he isn't. And there's a weird scene where a guy comes in and tells him where he can find like Wolverine goes to Russia's house, Russia's place. Wolverine goes to Russia and goes to Wade's place, fights a bunch of dudes who have come to kill him, and then there's a guy who comes and says, "Oh, we were just testing you." I mean, you had Wolverine kill 20 guys to test him. He's Wolverine, like. And then, like, there's this weird, like, again, like this Adam Kubert can be out of control with his but sometimes, like, basically it looks like this guy comes in, gives Wolverine an address, and Wolverine punches him, but the way it's done is you just see Wolverine's angry face reflected in the guy, and there's a sound effect, and his glasses are cracked. I think that's what happened, but I'm not 100% sure. And then there's this weird, like, Court of Owls style thing where, like, they're using the same process they used on this guy that they're using on Deadpool. I'm spoiling a lot here, but it's so confounding because it doesn't explain incoherently why Deadpool would be even doing this. Is he being tricked into it? Is he being forced? Like, is he doing it to help Ellie somehow? Like, drinks it, like, it looks like he's depressed, or like, it's just kind of, because it's primarily from Wolverine's point of view. You don't understand why exactly Deadpool is doing what he's doing. I mean, maybe they'll explain in the second issue, but it just feels like, again, like editorial, like Kelly knows something, and the story knows something that the story assumes we're supposed to know something about Wade and his motivations in this mysterious group. That's how it comes off, and I don't. I feel confused. I just feel strange that, like, why is Deadpool even doing this? Not because I'm angry he's behaving badly. It's just because I just don't understand it. And I mean, the beautiful, the wild Adam Kubert art, it's great, but it doesn't help. Like some of this stuff is like just completely, like, almost barely coherent, but that's kind of the point. It's supposed to be weird, over the top, slaughter porn. At the same time, it's also like, wait, I don't understand what happened. I'm not entirely certain. Like, do they really need to send guys after Wolverine to test him? He's Wolverine! Like, how long has he been around? Like, it's kind of like, oh, gee, the guy who looks like Wolverine behaved exactly like Wolverine. What a surprise. They all know who he is. I don't know, like, it just doesn't feel as assured as Kelly does. It feels more assured as Kelly usually does. Like, I'm not interested in a riff on the Court of Owls, which just feels like in another group of rich dudes, whatever. It's fine. Like, I just wish, like, Kelly could have, I just feel like Kelly could have made a better, more exciting, more comprehensible comic for his big movie tie-in, which is what it is. And the World War III does not mean it's WWIII explains what it is in the comic. It doesn't exactly work, but It is. I can't really recommend it, but it's interesting. I'll probably read the rest of the series. Anyway, but it's just too. It's too. It feels like it's receiving signals from a place I don't understand. Anyway, like and subscribe. Hit the bell for notifications. Thank you, and I will talk to you later.